What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. It's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. On this channel, everybody, we try to essentially give you a six-figure MBA level worth of investing in financial knowledge. And in this particular community, we seek to thrive, not just to survive. So I want to introduce a very, very special guest. I met this young lady at FinCon 2024 in ATL, and I was blown away by just kind of stuff she was talking about when we were speaking, and also was dope about when I was taking a look at some of her financial content on YouTube. So thank you, Diamond, for coming onto the channel. And how are you doing today? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Just introduce myself. My name is Diamond Chanel, and I usually say on my channel we talk about all things money. So I talk about different ways to make money online, different opportunities that there are out there, and also about e-commerce.
Dope. All right, cool. So let's start at the beginning. Who exactly is Diamond Chanel? How would you describe yourself to somebody?
Well, I am. First of all, I'm 27 years old. I'm someone that just loves to create. I love innovation. I love looking at things and reimagining what they could be. I'm a problem solver. I'm a Christian. I'm an African-American woman. And yeah, I believe in small businesses. I believe in entrepreneurship. I believe that God gave us the power to be fruitful and to multiply, not only in a sense of reproducing with children, but to reproduce within our talents and in our gifts. And I believe that we are all interconnected, and our purpose is to help one another in some way, shape, or form. And we're continuously looking to figure out how we personally will do that. So that's how I would describe myself.
I love it. That's dope. Let me ask you this and everything. In regards to just your journey with money and everything, because I've watched a lot of your content and everything. Describe your first relationship with money. I'll say your first memory of money. What was it?
Okay, I'm gonna give you two memories. So my first memory with money in general was when the tooth fairy came and left me $5 under, my pillow for my tooth. So that was my first real interaction with money. However, I'm going to say my first memory when it comes to finances and understanding money was I was about 6 or 7 years old, and my mother drove up to the corner store and she's like, "Hey, Diamond, I want this type of ice cream." She wanted a particular type of ice cream, and let's say she handed me $5. So I went into the store and I looked at the different ice creams, and I remember the one that she wanted was a name brand, but it was something regular like a vanilla. She just wanted a vanilla ice cream. And the second one was off-brand one, and it was like $1.50 difference between the two. So I picked up the off-brand one and I said, "Mom, they were selling the same ice cream for $1.50 more, so I got the cheaper one for you." And I remember she was like, "Good job." And that was my first real memory of understanding the value of money. And I do feel as though that trickled out into my life, where I'm not a flashy person. I never was a name brand type of person, because I'm like, this is the same thing for a different price. And I'm a very practical person. I would love to ask and know the same for you. What was your first experience with money?
I had a few. So most African Americans, I grew up, I still go to church regularly. I grew up obviously around a lot of church folks. And I would say my first memory with money, just growing up as a little kid, I just remember my grandparents always having lots of money. They had the wraparound garage. So they had the wraparound parking lot, with the wraparound driveway with lots of cars in it. I always remember barbecues, lots of food. Every Christmas, every Thanksgiving, there's lots of food. They had a humongous yard where you could play football literally in both sides of the house because their yard was so big. As a little kid, I just remember my grandparents had a lot of money. And I started noticing that as I got older, I just realized they just got very, very poor. To the point where when my grandmother passed, we all was trying to get her essentially to move to my parents retired in North Carolina, to retire to move in with my parents, because my grandmother could have died like a queen. But because of some of the choices that her kids made, my aunts and my uncles, she decided to stay where they were at and essentially try to take care of them. And I can never understand, why is it that my grandmother, who's older, is trying to take care of adult kids? And as a result of that, it just pissed me off, to be honest with you, that my grandfather worked hard his entire life. I'm talking about Chrysler, U.S. military, his body's all broken down. And my grandparents, for lack of a better word, died very poor. And to me, it made no sense. I was like, how in the world is it you can work hard for 50 years and die with nothing. Whereas the Hispanic folks that my grandfather worked in the factories with, and the white people that my grandfather worked in the factory with, they retired, nice houses, big houses. Kids went to private schools. Their grandkids were all professionals and stuff like that. So I was like, something's not right with this. How in the world can you work hard your entire life, not be lazy, and then die with nothing? And it pissed me off. And then also growing up, I got in a lot of fights growing up because of like kind of clothes that I wore, not name brand stuff. I guess we're kind of similar in that respect. I got a lot of fights because of my shoes, because of my coats that I wore. Everybody else is wearing Timberlands. I'm wearing TIMs. Everybody else is mine like Jordan. I'm going to pay less, that kind of stuff. So, I was like, okay, cool. I'm not feeling this, so let me start selling candy in high school so I can become an entrepreneur and start buying my own stuff. So
Wow.
my first car that I ever bought, I bought it selling candy. My first pair of Jordans, my first pair of Timbs, all my Avirex coats, my jerseys, all that stuff. I literally bought them by selling Snickers, Reese's Pieces, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Jolly Ranchers, Airheads, Snickers, and Blow Pops.
Wow.
So I was always an entrepreneur, always a hustler. So that's my first memory of money. I got sick and tired of seeing people who look like us working
Mhm.
hard their entire life and dying poor. And I got sick of people talking crap about me and my brothers and getting in fights because of what I was wearing. So that was my first memory of money. And that was the result. Thank God I'm a six-figure professional today. So yeah. Yep.
That's amazing. So I want to know how, because you said that you are a father and a husband, how does those two experiences from your childhood affect or influence the way that you then teach your kids about money?
Well, I would say from my grandparents' perspective, it just kind of taught me that you can essentially try to help as many people as possible. But if you don't equip them with the skills, I would say to kind of, and even those skills can sometimes be going to church. Sometimes those skills can be having a relationship with God. Sometimes those skills can be, I would just say, getting financially competent with money. You're going to literally spend what should be your retirement years taking care of adults. And I'm making sure with my kids, I have two very young sons at home right now. I'm making sure with them that daddy is going to be very hard on them about money. I'm going to teach them all the stuff about index funds and S&P 500 and brokerage accounts and SEP IRAs and entrepreneurship and getting an engineering degree or getting a degree in science, technology, and math, learning, whatever it is. I'm going to be very hard on them about it. That's one way to shape me. Another way to shape me too is this, I would say, in regards to the, so full disclosure, I'm a mechanical engineer and everything, but I got in a lot of fights growing up. Some of it was because I was always this tall, light skin with brown eyes, so people thought I was soft. And I
Yeah.
had my brothers were a lot smaller than I was. So I was always the brother that was like getting in fights, defending my family members, stuff like that. So as a result of that, when I got old enough, I actually got into like semi-professional boxing and fighting and kickboxing stuff like that. So I've literally diamond fought all over the world in cages and in rings and stuff. So one
Ah,
byproduct of that is that my sons, I'm already teaching them like jujitsu and Muay Thai and boxing and stuff like that. So I guess that's a good thing. But that's kind of been like what I'm learning from my kids. I'm gonna teach them very early on how to have open brokerage accounts. I'm gonna teach them early on how to be financially literate. It's actually funny. I was telling somebody the other day. I started Financipation because this is a business I'm going to give to my sons. So
wow.
I guess that's how I would answer that question, if you will.
Yeah, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
And as a husband, at the end of the day, man don't work, man don't eat. I think real men anyway, our jobs on this planet. And I'm sorry if I offended any of my feminist listeners and like that. At the end of the day, I think men we have three purposes: we're supposed to protect our families, protect our communities. Obviously, we're supposed to lead our families, and we're supposed to financially provide for them. So there are times I literally get up in the morning, I'm hurting, and I'm hurting, I'm so tired, but I still take my butt to work. There's times I get off work, and I'm working on my business on the side, which is Financipation, so that eventually I get to the point where corporate America is an option for me. It's not something I have to do. And I would say that's kind of how, as a husband, essentially how it's motivated. It makes me want to work harder and work smarter, if you will.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yep. So how about yourself as a single woman and everything? What's your motivation in regards to that? Because I'm seeing what you're doing on YouTube right now. And I'm kind of running the algorithms in my head based off of the subscribers that you have, and you're doing
Mhm.
pretty well on YouTube. So what was your motivation, Diamond?
Well, my motivation for starting with YouTube, one thing my mother always said was the first thing I told her was I wanted to be a teacher, like as a kid. And so I carry that in my heart. I am someone that is certainly a learner. I love to absorb and research information. And once I research and absorb this information, I just have this tendency to want to then spill out what I've just learned. And that's kind of just what happened when in terms of YouTube, I mean, I have always loved business. I did so many different things. I wanted to be in fashion, so I would create different clothing, and the whole name brand thing came into it. So I remember, like, these jackets would be, it's super expensive, and I'm like, I could make something similar to that. And I would literally go to the fabric store. My grandmother, she taught me how to sew, and she bought me this sewing machine. And so she's also very creative, and she works for her hands, and she builds a lot. And so I think I got that portion from her, and I would just love to like cut things up, build it. And then I started to learn about how to create websites, and I would create my own little fashion clothing line. I have a store called Diamond Chanel Co. And that's where my love really began when it came to business. It really just came out of a place of creativity and knowledge, and then wanting to tell other people how I was doing what I've done, and also share that with other people. And I became the person in the family that knew more about technology and dealing with the web. And I wouldn't say that I'm really a techie person, not entirely, but I knew how to maneuver the internet. And so when my mom, she started her credit business, just she turned on the camera one day and she put her first video out on Facebook. It was supposed to be for friends and family, and she got 3 million views in the first week. It was crazy. And so from there, we start strategizing. Like, I'm like, Mom, we need to capitalize off of this. And so I started to learn these different things. And I've also always, my family were real estate investors. So I remember being young and painting, pulling up carpets, doing all these things. And they kind of had us always involved within the business somehow, some way. So I always helped my mother and paired with my mother when it came to business. So the things that I learned more so about like setting up websites, doing email marketing, doing digital marketing, Facebook groups, were things that I started to teach on Facebook as well. And from there, I started my YouTube channel to talk about that. And I really cared about generational wealth and Black wealth. And that was something that was dear to my heart. I created this t-shirt line called Black Wealth Matters. And so I started to talk about topics around why we are so far behind as African Americans, and that entrepreneurship, and honestly, in my belief, capitalism is actually a way for us to have a better financial economic system between ourselves. And so I started to just talk about how we as Black people need to have businesses. We need to be in entrepreneurship. We need to be playing a part in the barter system. And then from there, I went over to YouTube, and I started to kind of test out with different topics. I started to do like gig work, and I did gig work because I was a broke college student, but I started to record myself while I did that. And I learned a lot of different principles that set my mind apart from working, let's say, an hourly wage to maybe now, even when it came to DoorDash, and this was when DoorDash first came out, that I started to play with, okay, if I don't get $1 per mileage, I'm not accepting the order because it's not worth it for me. So just understanding different principles there, and understanding that if something happens to my vehicle, I'm at risk and I can't make money. But that was exciting to me to know that I had that type of independence, and that just rolled over to the things I would talk about on YouTube. I know that was a little long-winded, but that,
I love it. That's absolutely beautiful, Diamond. Seriously, how
yeah.
did you do you come from a family of entrepreneurs? I'm curious.
Yes, for sure. My grandparents, now I'm not going to say they were successful entrepreneurs, but they worked the 9 to 5 job, and on the side they were always taught. They came from Alabama, so they have this deep rooted fear, definitely, of ever going broke again and ever being in poverty again. And so they were always taught to buy a house, and that looked a lot different, obviously, in their time than what it does for us now. But they both retired, so they worked their full careers and retired. But they bought real estate together, and their first house was somewhere in Somerset, New Jersey. Then they bought another property. Then they bought a property in North New Jersey. They bought a 6-family house. And so we were always in the building, and there was something always happening, and there was a lot of struggles there. I can't say that it was the most lucrative thing at the time, but it built wealth for sure. And then my mother ended up getting her first property at the age of 21. And she had a 3-family. So we lived in the one unit downstairs, and then she rented out the other 2. And so I kind of understood that concept of needing to have wealth. And they always talked about wanting to leave those properties to the grandkids. It's about 15 of us. So that was something that they dearly wanted in their heart for sure. And then my grandfather owned multiple houses. So I understood that concept for sure. And they always did other side hustles. They definitely are entrepreneurial spirited.
I love it. I love it. And I love exactly what you said. I agree so much with that. To me, America has its isms. Let's be honest. You got slavery, you got Jim Crow, you got mass incarceration, the war on drugs, redlining districts, current administration, all kind of stuff. There are so many different things in America that you can say, oh, it's just not fair. What was me? But I will also say this: America, and I constantly tell this to all my boys and all my friends want to listen. This country has 20% of the world's millionaires reside in the United States of America. Every
Mm-hmm.
year, I think like every hour of every day, another person in America becomes a millionaire because we have this gift called capitalism in America. And whether you want to go the white collar route and just invest your money, whether you want to start a business, whether you want to become a content creators like us, whether you want to do real estate, or whether you want to do kind of all the above, which is what me and you are doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are so many ways in America, people, to make money. So as a result of that, I've always thought that the curse of America and the state of America obviously was slavery. But the blessing and the gift of America is that in this country, you can legitimately build just unfathomable amounts of generational wealth. I mean, you can literally go from the projects to being a billionaire. Look no further than Robert
Mm-hmm.
Smith or LeBron James. One guy did it with finance and creating an investment firm. The other guy did it with playing sports. So entrepreneurship to me is king. How do we, based off of your experience and what you think about Diamond, how do you think we can build Black wealth in the Black community? I guess.
So I feel like at the first level, it's having acquiring skills and being able to utilize those skills as a trade. So even I know the word capitalism is a very controversial word to people, but the way that I look at it is the barter system, and the barter system has been in place even in biblical days. And this
Yep.
is the only system that has been able, the only economic system that has been able to withstand the test of time. And therefore, it's simply I have something of value, you have something of value, we trade. And I believe that within the Black community, specifically because right now, if I'm not mistaken, Black women right now are the highest when it comes to entrepreneurship and building businesses. I believe that.
You guys are number one right now in as far as starting new businesses, and Black people, we're number one in the country right now as far as it's investing into stocks. So we are slowly doing the right thing. Yep.
Right, right. But the thing that concerns me is the Black men that are lacking in that sphere. So I believe in putting back those skills like wood shop, doing these trades and encouraging Black men to earn a skill set that is still valuable. So even here.
Do you think our women will be comfortable talking to a guy if a woman makes 75,000 and the brother only makes 50,000?
Absolutely. I'm going to say that